When you swim or kayak, boating, skiing in los arroyos or ríos, the rivers of Guadalupe, Rio Grande, San Jacinto, you're talking about Tejanos. Tejanos gave the law to Texas, and Texas accepted it. It's called the Pueblo Water Law. That's Tejano. The Tejanos also fought in the American Revolution. It wasn't just Spanish. They were Tejanos fighting. They were killed, they were injured, they were captured, they were in prison, they were tortured, and they became spies for George Washington. And these were Tejanos. I think in the United States, you will not find a larger area from Victoria to Corpus Christi to Brownsville, Laredo, Del Rio, San Antonio, where the people are bilingual, Spanish, and people that speak Spanish are twice as much as those that speak Spanish. In Spanish, that's us. And nowhere else in the United States they do that. That have more Catholics, more fiestas, more plazas, and everybody likes fiestas, right? Vámonos. Then Tejano, South Texas. When we first started this project, mi primo Joe in New York, he asked the New Yorker, what comes to mind, or what do you think, or what is Tejano? And the New Yorker replied, "Yo soy Tejano desde 1718, how far back our culture goes." And I believe, I'm still doing research, it goes further than that. So, con abrazos fuertes, mil gracias.
Thank you. Before I talk about the film, I'd like to acknowledge a few people. First off, the producer of this film, Jeri Wachter. Not only was she instrumental in bringing this incredibly complex film to life, but she shot half-bit, and she also narrates the film that you're going to hear tonight. I also like to thank Richard, who was really the inspiration for this project when we first thought about it, and his co-founding of SCCT's, the Tejano Historical Organization, was really the beginning of our journey to make this film. And that, you could not have done this film without the 40 or 50 scholars and historians who literally had spent decades recovering some of the stories that you're going to hear tonight, because these stories were purposely omitted from history books. And I'd also like to thank both of the organizations for bringing this film to you tonight, and David Contreras and Billy and everyone with Deep who worked so hard to have us here tonight. We are honored. History, some people say, is fiction agreed upon. A bunch of people get together and they decide if they're going to tell a story in a certain way. And it isn't necessarily the way that an event happens. But if they were to tell the truth about what actually did happen and not make a certain group look very good. So in trying to tell this incredibly wonderful, beautiful story that we're going to see tonight, we had to think about how we were going to do it. And the best way that we thought was to incorporate these amazing scholars and the things that they had in some cases spent decades researching, because a lot of things that you're going to see tonight have been omitted from history books. They're not allowed to talk. They've been purposely marginalized. And so what you're going to see tonight are hopefully things that you're going to learn for the first time, or hear about for the first time. People ask us occasionally, why should we care about history? Well, I think the answer is pretty simple. We should care about it because it matters, because we are the byproduct of the sacrifices that our parents and our grandparents and their parents made before them. And so when there is this mindset today by some people that say, your history doesn't matter, you should forget about it, you should move on, what's past is past. Well, we are not going to forget about the sacrifices that our forefathers made. If you were born in Texas, this song is about you. This song is about us. And I think Richard said it eloquently, Tejano history is American history. And we need to, this is a story about genocide, about land dispossession, about marginalization, about discrimination, but it's also a story about beautiful cultures that sort of revolves around family, about love, about faith, about resilience, about strength. And so tonight we want to honor art history, and hope that when you walk out here, you'll feel proud and appreciative of all things that had come before us to make us who we are today. Thank you so much.
To help frame why preserving this history matters at the state level, we are honored to have champions of heritage and education with us tonight. Before introducing our guest speaker, we want to acknowledge State Representative Christina Morales, who unfortunately could not attend tonight due to a personal matter. We are deeply thankful to her sponsorship and her steadfast dedication to preserving and disseminating our rich Latino history. Now please join me in welcoming a leader who has fought for our communities in Austin, who has supported us in our history, especially at the Easton Public Library, in growing our digital collections, and who will support us as we build the new Houston Public Library Hispanic History Research Center, Senator Carol Alvarado.
Buenas noches, Tejanos. Good evening, Tejanos. Let's give it up to David. Thank you for your persistence and making us proud. Joseph and Richard, boy, 3 years and some change, right? Putting this together. And I was asking if Jeri was here because I heard her interview on Houston Matters, and you can just tell with the passion, how she spoke. She poured her heart, her soul into it. So sorry you don't get a chance to meet her today, but I can't tell you how timely this is, because for the last couple of weeks, our community has been hurting. And tonight is a time when we can celebrate the richness of our history, of our culture. And our history should not be a footnote in Texas or American history. It is an integral part of Texas and American history. And we all know how this all came about. Or maybe we don't, because you know what? The textbooks don't tell us. And if we're not careful, when our kids go to college, they may not get that either. And that's why we fight so hard against bills like Senate Bill 37, like things that come out before the State Board of Education. And I want you to know that your delegation here in Texas, the Latinos here that represent you in Austin, we all stand together to fight against that. When things happen in our community that hurt one of us, we all feel it. And we have been feeling that for the last couple of weeks. And so tonight, I can't tell you how appropriate the timing is of this evening. And when we leave here, we need to make sure that we talk about the history that we have witnessed, because many of us, we didn't get any of this in our textbooks. And so let's celebrate their work. Let's celebrate our gente, our history, and our culture. And it goes beyond tonight. Let's make sure that we get other people to enjoy this history. So as the lights come down, I hope we all recognize names and faces, and we remember about the brave men, the Tejanos, the Vaqueros that took care of this land, the Tejanas that bled and lifted up our communities. So let's leave here with pride, and let's get out there and spread the word of this wonderful film we're about to see. Muchísimas gracias. God bless all of you. Thank you.
Tonight is about more than remembering the past. It's about honoring those that came before us and accepting our responsibility to those who will come after us. Because history preserved becomes heritage, shared becomes identity, and identity passed from one generation to the next becomes our legacy. Thank you, and enjoy Los Tejanos and 500-year history.
At dawn, on a coastal shore in what we now call Texas, a lone warrior gazed upon a sight that initially he believed was a vision. For more than 12,000 years, this land had flourished under the care of its stewards. But in that fleeting moment, the course of history had shifted. Before him stood a stranger, unlike any he had ever seen, an intruder from across the sea, stepping onto sacred ground. What seemed like a chance encounter was, in truth, the first fracture of a world that was about to be broken, its fate rewritten by conquest. The warrior could not yet know that this single first step would ignite centuries of upheaval, reshaping his people's past and their future. 500 years later, a new people would emerge, scarred by loss, transformed by struggle, and strengthened by their own endurance. They would rise once again, carrying forward a unique heritage that refused to be vanquished. Eventually, they would be called Tejanos.